Hi everyone. It seems like a long time. I hope you had a good break and that you're ready for this last unit. Actually, I've combined the last unit, enculturation, and sort of drawing the conclusions. Mostly that's kind of in your ballpark. I've put on the campus guides the last checklist. And then underneath this video, you'll see that there's another video, and that actually comes from Saint-Gervais. And when you read the unit that's in the files, you'll see how that kind of relates to some of the things that I'm sort of proposing in the concluding section. Usually we talk about enculturation with respect to other cultures. So, as you see, Ansgar Chipungo is one of the, well, he's really the father of enculturation. There's nobody else who's written more on the subject or educated more people to be attentive to enculturation. And Tom Kane, the Paulist father, he really videographed how enculturation has taken place in many parts of the globe. My first experience of it was when I went to Hawaii on vacation. And, you know, it's part of the United States, but there I saw how they embedded what are their cultural aspects into the liturgy. So the priest, in addition to a stole, also had a lei that he was wearing, and instead of gold, they were using poi dishes to distribute communion. And they used a lot of their Hawaiian music and melodies in their liturgy. And then during communion, they asked everyone to please remain standing after they received communion to stress the unity of our celebrations. And I took that away, and I've never forgotten it. It just, it respected their tiny corner of their culture in the United States. Students I have had from Ghana always talked about their liturgical celebrations. And really, when you read Father Gabriel's postings, they seem to be similar to celebrations in Nigeria, especially the early hour at which their celebrations begin. Anyway, Kwame Kumi was one of my students, and I knew that when I heard his stories, I wanted to go there, wanted to be able to experience the liturgy that the people celebrated. And so I always thought that when he graduated, I would go home with him. But he graduated, and I didn't have any money to go to Ghana, so I didn't get that. But he didn't go home either. He stayed on, and he did his doctoral work at Fordham. And then he graduated and went home, and I still didn't have any money. But he figured out how I could get there, because by then I was provost, and I had to go to Rome each year for graduation. And by then, there were flights from Rome to Ghana through Switzerland, and then from Ghana, direct back to New York. So when we checked it out, it was actually less expensive for me to come home from Rome via Ghana. So I went there for 2 weeks. It pleased nobody. It didn't please my spiritual director. It didn't please my physician. It did not please Father Harrington. But I knew that I really needed to go there. And it was a wonderful, wonderful experience. Kwame was a great host. And mostly what I went there to do was go to all kinds of liturgies. And 6 o'clock Sunday morning, I went to the first Mass that they had. And there the people were whipping out their white cloths and raising them for the Alleluia and singing the Gloria. And they included lots of vitality and dance. It was great, but it went on for hours. And Kwame came and got me during communion time, and we had to go off to another celebration, because he had, I went to that one with one of his cousins that was in the cathedral church, and then I went with him to the army base, where people were from a lot of several different tribes. And in that liturgy, each of the tribes after Mass, performed a dance for me. Well, I guess maybe it was in the post-communion place. But Kwame had introduced them to me to them as his teacher. And then he actually had me help distribute communion with him. So it was very, very beautiful, the respect the people showed me. And their dances and their songs for me were just, it was so beautiful. It was really, I've never experienced anything like that in the United States, and doubt that I could, because we're different. But usually that's what we think of in terms of enculturation. But as you see, when I talk about Taizé and Saint-Gervais, there are two other experiences I've had in France. And I put that together with your extensive conversation about Gregorian chant on the message board. I think maybe our, souped up society here has something to learn from these other cultures. And we might employ that in our liturgy. One of the blessings of being at the university and actually living there, when I was provost, I had an apartment in one of the residence halls, and word would sort of spread that they were going to have Holy Hour. In the beginning, they didn't publish it, but sort of, one told the other, and somehow I kept finding out about it. And so I would go to their Holy Hours, which started, I think, maybe 9:30 in the evening. Oh, they pulled out every candle that they had in the place, and they ran it. I mean, one of the priests exposed the Blessed Sacrament and blessed them, but really, they provided all of the music, which were simple, kind of repetitive, almost chant-like songs. Turned out the light, it was silence. It reminded me more than anything else of my younger self. They were so reverent, and it was very moving. Often the Holy Hour was longer than an hour. But I'm so glad that I had that kind of an experience. And I don't see why it has to be relegated to Holy Hour. There ought to be ways in which we could somehow wed what we've learned about chant and that kind of need for something that's repetitive and calming and focused, and needing to be attentive to our liturgies. And then I conclude by sending you right back to the beginning, to the Constitution on the Sacred Liturgy, especially its first part and its guiding principles. It's a living document, as living as the Constitution of the United States is, or the constitutions of any number of organizations that sort of guide the way in which it operates. And there's lots there to pray about, to think about, especially as you continue your studies or you embark on ministries, or think about embarking on ministries. So there are a few more things you have to do before the semester ends. You have to summarize your paper, put it on the message board where I marked out for it, respond to each other. I realize not everybody has completed their research papers yet. I'm kind of waiting for a few myself. And then write your own self-assessment and email that to me. And then it's a wrap. If there's anything else I can do for you, any way I can help you, let me know. I have really enjoyed being with you this semester. I've learned a lot from you, and your postings really are so much higher quality than really that we would have had in a classroom. And though I know that taking an online class and teaching an online class is more time-consuming, and I think sometimes more difficult than if we were in a classroom. And then we don't have that kind of immediate feedback from each other. But really, the quality of your work is very impressive, and I learned a lot from you. So thanks. Have a wonderful Advent, and don't get crazy over Christmas. Make sure it's a holy, happy, beautiful holiday. Bye.